everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of the Insiders on Real Estate and Marketing. I'm Sandy Hibbard, and this is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Troy Olson. And today in episode 7, we're going to talk about how to build a thriving real estate business. Or if you're not a realtor, I think some of these things will really apply to your businesses because we want to give you some steps to follow, not necessarily a formula, but some things that have proven true in my business as a marketer. And for Troy, he's been out in the field. He's seen the good and the bad of building a real estate team. So he's going to share some of his things with you today as well. So Troy, hey, it's good to see you.
Good to be back.
Yep. How's it going?
It's going. I think we're all still not in our comfort zone yet, and right. We're still doing a lot of stuff on Zooms, and we're wearing masks and gloves. Mine's over there. But yes, people are still buying houses, and the inventory levels are extremely low. So. Just one day, one deal at a time.
Yeah, I had a client, she sent me the pictures for a listing on last Wednesday for Coming Soon. We post the Coming Soon. It goes live on Friday. She sends me the video on Saturday. She has a contract on Monday. Yeah. So I think this is the way things are going right now.
Yeah, I had a listing that you posted for me. We went live on a Friday, about 4 o'clock. Uh-huh. Seller needed Saturday to get, the house really ready. We had 20 showings on Sunday. And we were under contract that night. So the showing started at 9 a.m. and they ended at 8 p.m.
In a deal like that, did you have multiple offers from 20 people? Or?
So the people that liked it, that wanted to make an offer, they didn't really reach out to me until Monday morning to say, hey, my client wants to put in an offer.
Yeah.
We were already pending. Like the buyer said, no option period, which is unheard of. Mm-hmm. So it was too late to get in the game, basically.
Unbelievable. I mean, so I would say that right now is a super time for people to put their house up for sale.
Yeah, this one had a pool, which obviously because of COVID, people aren't maybe going on vacations, they're not going to water parks, right. Or maybe the community pool, isn't open because of it. So anything with a pool is just crazy hot right now.
So our prediction, we're seeing it happen. Mm-hmm. And you are crazy busy with that, but you're also out building a new market center.
Yep.
And so you're adding to your team, you're recruiting. And so I wanted to spend some time today, since you're in the midst of all that and talking about that and focusing a little bit around maybe identifying 3 things. I mean, there's probably more than that, I'm sure, but let's try to find 3 things that you're noticing that realtors need to start a successful business.
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody can get extremely successful, all by themselves. It's all about, a team and leverage and hiring the right people. I recently went through, Keller Williams career visioning for the second time. And when I took it the first time, I was a little overwhelmed with the Kellerisms and just really the tools and the resources that it takes to identify talent. Yeah. I used the Tony Robbins DISC assessment in the past, which is fine. Yeah. But it's a trimmed down version of what we use at Keller Williams with the KPA model. It's 100 questions. It's a DISC on steroids. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then my real estate coach, Alice Daly, she's a great MAPS coach. I've been with her since January 1. She also has a test, a quiz, assessment, whatever you want to call it, that I've had potential candidates take that really helps me understand their personalities, how to talk to them and how not to talk to them.
Awesome.
So I had my first team member join last week, mm-hmm. and then I have a second one coming, this week. So mm-hmm. I'm excited to rebuild. So I'm certainly in rebuilding mode, and now we're in onboarding mode. So a few other people, in the hopper that I'm in discussions with. So excited to get back into that.
So are you finding in this climate right now mm-hmm. with COVID that people want to get in the real estate business? I mean, what a risky move to be taking right now.
I mean, but I think that, a lot of people are getting more educated on the concept of being a team. Just because you have a real estate license doesn't mean, you're going to be great, know what to do and have the direction.
Right.
So by getting on a team, for example, if somebody gets on my team, they have the marketing resources that you bring to us. Mm-hmm. They have a transaction coordinator, mm-hmm. And then all the tools that, we can offer at Keller Williams, plus all the training. So it's just, you're not out there on an island, all by yourself. One of the team members that joined me last week, she had made a run at real estate a few years ago at the same time launching a business. And the business took off, but the real estate career never did. And this time around, she said, I'm not going to go solo.
Right.
I want to get on a team so I can, be mentored and have these tools and these resources. And within 6 days of joining my team, she has a buyer and we submitted an offer on a property already.
Yeah, I mean, you need a mentor in this business, especially if you're coming from a non-real estate
Absolutely.
background. Oh my God, it's like Greek, the things that you have to do, the hats you have to wear.
Well, how do I list a house and when do I do the pre-photo walkthrough and, all the paperwork and just the video. It isn't just you're on the job and you figure it out. I mean, that's how it was for me 15 years ago. And I wish that I wish the teen concept maybe would have been a little bit more out there. I certainly think I'd be further along with my real estate business if I would have had that.
You're certainly not hurting. I mean, you've
No,
done great.
Nobody's going to feel sorry for me.
But you've also had, I mean, I've known you a long time and I've worked with you for a long time during this space of time, and you've had a lot of help. You've had, as far as training in accountability, marketing. You understood about marketing.
Yeah.
I think that is really key for a realtor that's getting in this business.
Well, and I think too is there's a lot more ways to communicate with your database now than there was 15 years ago.
My God. So what are some of the differences that you're seeing and utilizing right now than you would have done 10 years ago or 5 years ago?
Before I hired out of pain, and it was just grab a body and fill that hole so we don't sink in the boat.
We can all relate.
Yeah, that's something that I learned, last week when I was, and Kristen Cole, very, very powerful businesswoman inside of Keller Williams. She's in multiple markets, and the number one takeaway that I took from Career Visioning for those 3 days that I was on, and we did this, of course, via Zoom, was, don't hire out of pain, where I did that before, which is probably why it did not work. So there's a much more strategic, calculated approach to building this time than last time.
Well, I think building a team would have to be, you would have to utilize those basic tenets of having a vision, understanding marketing, having a strategy, creating a plan, all of that, the things that we teach a realtor that they need to have. Building a team as a team leader or a market center owner, you've got to have a vision for what you want to have in that market and the kind of people you want.
Well,
right?
and I think, there's a whole list of questions that I ask when there's, a candidate, and it's, what is your why? Why real estate? Well, I want to sell houses, or I like to look at houses. That's not really a reason. Just because you like to look at houses isn't really a reason that that's what you are going to make, your career out of it.
Right.
So again, a lot of qualifying questions, and again, not everybody's cut out to, be on a team. Not everybody's cut out, for my style. So again, you go through the process, you interview, and you hopefully pick the right talent, and you groom and develop them and get them to the next level.
Absolutely. Teach them how to create successes and how to count them. No matter what kind of business that you're in, you need to learn how to count your successes. How much money do you expect to make? How are you going to make that money? What does it mean to make that money? What does it require of you? How many closings do you want to have if you're a realtor? How many seats filled in a restaurant if you're going to open a cafe? I mean, there's so many things in counting our successes, and I think that might be different from person to person, because some people want the world and other people want comfort. So how are you approaching that when you're coaching and mentoring your new agents? How are you handling them counting their success?
Yeah, so
how do you approach that?
What I'm asking them is not only, why real estate, but what are your goals? What's the first 30 days success look like? What's the first 6 months? What's the first year? Gary Keller says you can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. And I have that written down, on my whiteboard. I know I'm forced to look at it, every day. But if you have a goal in mind of a GCI, a gross commission goal, or I want to sell 24 homes my first year, okay, that's 2 a month every single month. We all wish that real estate was that simple, but you could have 10 closings one month. Correct. You could have 10 closings 1 month and 1 the next month, and everywhere in between. So if your goal is 24, you got to back into it, and let's just say it's 12 months for 2 deals a month. where is that business going to come from? What's your data source? Again, is it builders, vendors? Are you in a networking group? How big is your sphere of influence?
All part of your strategy, part of your plan, and
Exactly.
understanding marketing.
What I show them is, what's the touch plan? It's, okay, how many times in a year are we going to touch them, and then how? If they're a past client, their 1 year home anniversary, that's a BombBomb video. Their birthday, that's a BombBomb video. The obvious holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. So again, you start adding up and then going, okay, we're doing an email campaign, once a month. So, we teach the 36 touch system, at KW, and you say, well, that's 3 touches, every single month for 12 months. That seems like a lot. But when you back down into the different strategies, that's how you calculate, how are you going to get to the 24 closings a year? So.
Absolutely. Well, you're talking about having a plan. And I think that's so important. A little anecdotal story is when I used to go to New York, I would spend but this is before I lived in New York. And I would go to New York every couple or 3 months, and I would stay for like 2 and 3 weeks. And I was just like this wide-eyed Texas tourist and taking pictures. And because my team is virtual and my business is a virtual model, I was able to work and do the things that I needed to do and yet be a tourist and have fun. Well, I found after a couple of trips that I needed to go to New York and I needed to have a focus, because otherwise I found myself just splattering myself all over the place. Even when I went to Paris, I said, I'm going to go to Paris, I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to create a blog post, or I'm going to make a new website. And I think for realtors, it's really important to have a focus and to work. We've been talking about that a little bit in last episode, but one of the things that I've also experienced in my business is when times got tough and I was tempted to go get a job, I would tell myself, Sandy, if you would work 8 hours a day and clock in and clock out just like you would with this job interview you're thinking about, your business would explode. And so I think that is a huge key in creating the plan, in mentoring agents, in counting our successes and understanding marketing and all those things we're talking about, is that first of all, you've got to work on this business. And it's not like, okay, I don't have to work. I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm going to wait for the phone to ring. I'm going to wait to show this one listing. If you get up and you sit at your desk, if you don't have a listing, if you don't have an appointment, and you work for 8 hours and you prospect for 8 hours, you're going to see results.
Well, and I understand that, again, because of COVID, we're not out, we're not out as much as we were before, maybe, and it's easier to build a relationship together than, virtually, but nobody's coming to save you and I. Like, you've got to market yourself to other realtors and other business owners to get their marketing business. And again, I'm not sitting around waiting for the phone to ring saying, hey, I want to buy a house, or hey, I need to list mine. We have to go create that. And the only way to do it is to call, email, text, send letters, send cards.
This is why you've got to find people that have a fire in them. Because if you're not passionate and you don't know why you're doing this, you will fade off after your initial training. Yep. I've seen it happen so many times, and I know that you have too. But if you have an agent or a business owner or an entrepreneur who has a fire and a passion for what they're doing, they're not afraid to work. They're not going to feel all sad for themselves. They're not going to be waiting for someone to come save them, because their passion is in that work. And I think that's so huge.
And the very first sales job that I had out of college, when I was interviewing for that, he told me, he said, it was back in 1998, so you guys can figure out how old I am or how young I am. He did not hire anybody, 44 and a half. He didn't hire anybody, male or female, that did not play competitive sports in high school to be on his sales team. And I never thought about that, but I mean, we all, again, I played sports. I've got a brother that's 2 years older, and it was always competitive. Chemistry. Yes, so you know how to be on a team, and again, sports make you competitive. So I've looked for that ever since, when I've been doing my thing.
Mm-hmm. For the next few minutes before we close down, I want to share kind of some ideas that I have about steps to take if you're building a real estate business. And The first thing is that you have to have a forward vision. You have to have vision. You have to have a fire. You have to want to work, and you have to want to love what it is that you're doing. And when I say portrait of an agent, we've taught in our marketing classes for agents to visualize what kind of agent do you want to look like? What kind of agent do you want to be? Are you after the luxury? I mean, are you after, like you were saying a few minutes ago, first-time home buyers? You want to work with newlyweds. You want to work with families. So building that portrait of yourself, I think, is really important. And part of that is understanding how to market to the new world, how to represent yourself online, on the web, in social. And most of all, understanding in your portrait that some things are never going to change. We need to be flexible when it comes to marketing, but we also need to understand that some things never change. Customer service, your authenticity, being real about who you are in your business and how you want to represent yourself, and then building relationships based on that. I think that is the first thing to create a mindset for an agent. To create that agent mindset, first you've got to love houses, you've got to love the business.
Gotta love people. And, we all have our moments where it's like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But again, you are representing a buyer or seller, and this is the most expensive asset that they will ever buy or sell. They're going to get emotional about it, and you have to help manage that emotion. And, how you do that is sometimes you are, a psychiatrist. Cody said something really funny yesterday. He's like, I'll have a 5-minute funeral with you, but I won't have a 5-hour or a 5-day or a 5-week or a 5-month funeral. So yes, sellers are nervous about people coming in the house. Buyers may be nervous about going out, and they, again, appraisals. We had a couple appraisals that didn't come in, and you got to talk the seller off the ledge and really digest the numbers. So you got to be patient and know that this is not a 9-to-5 job. You're going to get calls, emails, at all hours of the day.
Absolutely. And then moving from there, it's about setting up your strategy to how you're going to work. And I think that sometimes selecting, well, not sometimes, I'm going to say what you need to do is on paper, on your computer, choose 10, 5, 3 methods that you're going to use to deliver your business message. You need to know how you're going to market going into this thing, not after the fact. It's not about, I have seen this happen so many times, Troy. It's not about you hire an agent, they get all fired up, oh, rah, 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 they get saved, they come to Jesus, all this, they join the brokerage, they go get their training, but during all this time, they're not thinking about building a business. Right. And then training stops and coach says, okay, how many leads do you have to call?
You can't think of it as transactional. You got to think of it as lead generation. Another thing is
it's your business.
Track everything.
Yeah,
so again,
absolutely.
It's like how many letters did you mail? How many notes did you write? How many posts did you make?
Because you're going to want to come back and look at those things to see
what worked.
Are they working?
Right.
So make your strategy. I'm going to use this, and this in order to brand my message. I'm going to execute this stuff like an expert. So I'm getting trained. I'm leaning on my mentor. I'm going and interacting with other agents, because you want to be able to execute like you're an expert, not like you're a newbie.
Well,
and let me just say this. One thing that Jim Fight used to say that I thought was so cool, Jim Fight's a friend of ours in the real estate business. He said, when you're on the other end of the phone with a prospect or in a listing interview, you have to know that you're the expert. You have to be convinced that you are the expert. Those people don't know as much as you do. But so timidity's got to go. You can't be scared. You can't be timid. You can't think you don't know enough, because I guarantee you know more than they do.
Well, and if you don't believe in what you're doing or what you're selling, how are they going to believe in you? And something that I say on every listing appointment when we get going, Sandy, if you hire me, I'm going to ask you why you hired me.
Yeah.
And if you don't hire me, I'm going to ask why you didn't hire me, so I don't ever make that mistake again on a listing appointment. And I think that they like the honesty, of that.
To round off all these things, and there's so much more. I mean, we could teach a seminar actually on this. Understanding and finding your competitive advantage. And when I used to teach the roundtable class back a number of years ago, I did a roundtable class for realtors all over the Metroplex. And it was sponsored by one of the big mortgage companies. And so we would bring realtors in and I would teach marketing. And one of the things that I struggled getting across was know your competitive advantage. And agents didn't seem like they could get that. They couldn't wrap their mind around that. And it simply means, what do you bring to the table? And I found that so many people are shy about that. They're shy to boastfully say, well, I'm good at this, or I like this, or because maybe they weren't secure enough to say it, or because they didn't think it applied to real estate. But it does. When you have a gift, a passion, a skill, or a talent, that's going to help you build your real estate business, because real estate is a what? A people business.
Well, and I'll give you two examples on that, both on the buy side and the sell side. So at 4:30 today, I have a call with a client that I'm going to be listing their property. Well, there's two of the exact floor plans on the market, just a couple streets over. You know, one is priced at $450 and one is priced at $460. They look a little bit different on the inside. The floor plan is the same. You know, the year built is the same. Bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, garage, all the same. The difference are lot locations and then finish out. Well, I don't know what my seller is going to want to list their property for. I assume it's probably going to be the one that's 10,000 more than the one that's lower. I called both agents yesterday. They both called me back. Hey, you've been on the market for, X days. How many showings have you had? They gave me that information. I have credibility with them, and I said, hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm going to be listing something just like what you have. I'm curious, what has your traffic been like? So I have that information to share, with my seller at 4:30 today. On the buy side, before I walked in here, I made a phone call to a listing agent. Showed the property yesterday at 6:30. It's been on the market 3 days today, so 2 days yesterday. Multiple offers, 3 o'clock on Thursday. So I called the listing agent and said, what is important to your seller? They want a closing date of X and they want a 5-day lease back because of the timing of when their new home that they're building is scheduled to be done. I have that competitive information because I made that phone call versus just sending over an offer and not asking what is important. So again, using that to my advantage for my buyer and my seller.
Right, that's a competitive advantage.
Exactly.
That's what Troy brings to the table. So not everybody's going to be like you. Not everybody is going to have that kind of aggression in communication. So what is it? And that's what I think that is important for an agent to look at. What do I bring to the table? What's my mission? What's my vision? What's my purpose in getting into real estate? Why am I doing this? All the things you were saying earlier. Where am I going to go with this? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Get a clear picture of yourself in your head and paint that portrait of an agent for yourself with the help of a mentor, with the help of your guide. And to me, that's the very first start. That's the foundation of being able to build a real estate business.
And it doesn't matter what brokerage firm you're with. If you're brand new, that's fine. We were all new at our trade at one point. Find an agent that you can shadow and that they'll mentor you and learn from them.
Absolutely.
There's a reason that, the people that are coaching and teaching now is because they are successful. I want to be, where they are, so I listen to what they say. I take notes and then I implement that into my business model.
Absolutely. Build a vision board. There are some people whose competitive advantage is they're creative and they can visualize things. So maybe a vision board would be your forte to help paint your picture so that you can see how you want to market, what you want to market, what your vision is, what the market is that you're going to hit, what your niche is going to be. Like we talked about in last month's episode, building a niche in all of this or choosing one. It should be part of your plan and your strategy to not just say, well, I'm going to go out and represent the whole world, but rather as a newbie, I think it's more comfortable if you know this is where I'm going in at. And then that can always expand. What do you think about that?
Well, so, the vision board is draw your Disneyland. People say, what are you talking about? If you read the story about Walt Disney, he had drawn what he wanted Disneyland to look like. Unfortunately, he passed away before it was done. And somebody had made the comment, it's unfortunate that he never got to see this, but He did. In his mind, he had it all laid
That's
out.
cool.
So draw your Disneyland
Absolutely. I love that.
what do you want your personal and your professional life to look like, 1, 3, 5 years, and make sure you are set up with multiple, streams of income.
Absolutely.
And just in case, something happens.
One thing I want to add to this conversation, Troy, is that new agents need to follow what their broker's telling them to do. And I have a cute story about this. A friend of mine, years ago, he bought into a Domino's pizza franchise. And within a year, he broke all the records, was like #1 in the country and all of this. And he goes to the big rah-rah convention and he receives his awards. And one of the guys asked him, how did you do it? You're an insurance man and you got into the pizza business and you've broken all the records. How did you do it? And he said, I followed the manual to the T. And he took that franchise manual from Domino's and he did everything they told him to do. And that was his success. So I think for a new agent who's not been in the business, that is crucial to coming in and following that manual.
Well, we all, again, we're competitive, we're salespeople, we're entrepreneurs, it's our own business. We all think we have the right way. There's a reason that you pay that franchise fee for whatever it may be. There's a reason that thing works, is because it's
Absolutely.
been tested time and time again.
Yeah. So don't be arrogant and toss that
Right.
out and say you're going to do it yourself.
Don't go rogue and go,
I mean, bring your competitive advantage
Sure.
into it, bring your personality into it, but those things are really crucial for success. Eventually, a new agent is going to build a business if they're successful. So they need to be thinking about branding.
Yeah.
And I don't always tell a new agent, you need to get a brand identity together. I like maybe sometimes to wait and let them get their feet wet, let them get established a little bit. But eventually, I think that is a huge key to success in moving your real estate business to the next level, is by having a distinguishable brand apart from your broker. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, Troy, but I think that's really important. And if I can just be so brash to say that you were able to move your business across lines because you had branded Troy Olson.
I didn't. I had
Right.
I had a brand, and it's on everything.
Yeah.
It's your pens and your paper and your email signature and your website and your listing presentation, your buyer. Everything has to look the same. That's your brand. When you go into, In-N-Out Burger, it's real simple. You want a 1, 2, or a 3. You go into McDonald's,
love that.
they all look the same.
It's simple.
Simplicity. You don't need to have 10 different colors.
Oh gosh, we'll probably save talking about branding for a different episode.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of detail in that. But it goes back to creating that vision of yourself, following the lead of your broker, of your team member, of your guide, and being willing to work, and then finding out what those methods are that you're going to choose to use to put your business out there. And I think that there is success in that. So like we always do, 3 takeaways from today that I want you to bring home. Troy?
So you got to jump on technology. We got to be more visible than we've ever been before, just because we don't have the ability to be, out in person and building the relationships. We talked about the competitive advantage. You really got to know the competition. Again, sellers are starting here, and again, if there's multiple offers, that's great. I have a couple listings that have been on the market for a while. You got to be strategic about your price reductions. You got to listen to the feedback that you're getting from other agents. We're in the business to sell homes, not list homes. You can quote me on that. And then you talked about celebrating success. Honestly, I haven't had time this year to really slow down and look at that. I don't watch a scoreboard during the game.
Right.
What does Kenny Rogers say in The Gambler? Never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
Oh, right.
Just keep going. And then again, you don't get caught up on GCI, don't get caught up on number of units or, sales volume. Just keep doing what you're doing. The numbers will show up at the end of the year.
I love that. So. My 3 takeaways: know how to market in this new business world, like you're saying, and we didn't compare notes, so I agree with you. Number 1, technology. We are at home. People are at home right now. We're in a virus. We're in a pandemic. You have got to use technology. I know that here at Real News Communications Network, they are blowing up because everyone is realizing we need to have our faces on this technology so that we can still keep relationships coming in. So know how to market in this new business climate. Number 2, focus on a plan that you can deliver. Now, once you get through training, once you get through some of the initial things that your guide is going to make you, or suggest for you to do, I think it's really important for you to focus on a plan that you can deliver, not something that's pie in the sky, that you're never going to reach. I use a allegory called time, money, and imagination. If you don't have the time, if you don't have the money, and you don't have the imagination for it, don't do it. So be able to deliver the plan you choose. And then lastly, know and believe in your competitive advantage. Again, we didn't compare notes, but that absolutely is huge. You have to know who you are going into this business and know how successful you can be. You got to see it, you got to believe it. And like I say, if you build it, they will come.
They will.
Guys, thank you so much for joining Troy and I in episode 7. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, everybody. Be safe. See you soon.
Ciao.